Hello everyone, welcome to this wonderful chat around creativity and women's creativity. I'm Kelly Herrick. I'm an artist, a tutor and a writer, and a few years ago I wrote this book, created this book with 32 other women from all around the world called No Ordinary Words: The Real Life Wisdom of Women. And all of the proceeds of this, all of it, goes to two women's charities, She Has Hope and Tree Sisters. You can get this as a paperback, a real life book. You can get it as a Kindle version. And thanks to Bethany, who we're talking to today, you can get it as an audio book and listen to us talk through our chapters as well. And Bethany is talking to me today. And I absolutely just, first of all, this is the best voice you'll ever hear on a YouTube channel. So if you want Bethany to read your children's bedtime stories, she's probably available. And she's just a beautiful soul. I'm so pleased to have met her through this process. So let me read you what she has written about herself. Bethany Carder, with a C. Bethany Carder is a recording artist, producer, and multidisciplinary creator exploring sound, astrology, herbalism, yoga, and tarot as pathways to deep presence. Please go and check out her work. It's absolutely beautiful. They're developing sound astrology, a practice of aligning with the earth cycles through sonic expression, while bridging the body's connection to the more than human world through writing, movement, and medicine. They are also creating a Mercury-guided mantra series through their Witty Witches Rituals practice, set for release in 2026, yay, alongside a 4-part lunar phase album with their band, The Binary Marketing Show. And I have noticed, Bethany, welcome, that your pronouns are they, them, and I was saying she, her. So I apologize for that, and we will pick that up as we go through. So welcome, Bethany.
Thank you. Thank you for the beautiful introduction.
Oh, you're welcome. It was lovely to read it. I was just like, oh, that feels juicy. Oh, that feels soulful. Oh my gosh, that's magical. It was like just unfurled as I read it. It was really wonderful. So you're a super creative soul anyway, and you have, from speaking to you and kind of getting to know you, you've got a really wonderful biodiverse habitat of creativity and physicality and spirituality, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say that.
Amazing.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're great at making things grow, as we said, with all your green babies there on the shelf behind
Yes, all my
you.
green babies. It's taken a while. I practice a lot.
Yes, I have also practiced on many, many plants in my time. So
Yeah,
I find the easiest one.
exactly.
So do you want to just give us a tiny moment or kind of like a few headlines around your chapter? So you wrote we put your chapter first in the book, and it was called Womb. And what I loved about your chapter was how you kind of unfolded a story in a few pages of your birth and life. And it was kind of like what would take somebody else maybe like a whole double trilogy to do, or The Godfather or Fast and the Furious Part 29. You did so beautifully in a few pages. So yeah, just explain to people who are listening just a little bit about your chapter called Womb.
Well, it is about my womb. I was diagnosed with cancer and trying to find ways to engage in storytelling that helped me to process that experience and just the unspeakable feelings, like the grief and the confusion and all that came with that diagnosis. And I had been practicing tarot, like you talked about in the beginning, and astrology as means of connecting to mythos and symbolism and color and how these things can tell a story and in a very succinct way, and practicing reading and receiving readings and researching and trying to figure out how I would share in this group of women that were sharing incredible stories. And I did come in kind of at the end. So I was able to see a lot of the stories in the shared space. And we all had about, 7 pages or so to do. And I was trying to feel into how I could explore the experience of just losing my womb and what energy is really around the womb and like in stories and in our experience of being born into women's bodies. And just like all of those things. And it brought me to my birth story, and everything happened really synchronistically, because I was working on writing, and I am a sound artist and play music. And I feel like writing songs, I can be like really vague and I can wrap it all up in sound. And it's like kind of, I can feel into it and exchange my feelings through the sound. And writing is not like that. Like it has to be, you're creating the imagery with the words. And so that's why I was practicing all those ways to connect to symbolism. And just when I was thinking, how could I start practicing writing more deeply, Kathleen from Tree Sisters reached out and said, hey, we're doing this project, and would you want to write a chapter? It was like, I just thought I would start probably by writing an essay or a chapter. And it was like the next day. And then just after that, my mom had reached out, and they were coming to the Pacific Northwest and to meet up with the doula that was there at my birth. And it just felt like, oh, that's what this is about. And just getting to go there and interview them and hear their stories, and just it deepened my connection to my roots, like where I came from, how I first entered this plane of existence. And it was just really beautiful. And to be able to begin from there, like you said, and have it in my little life story in 7 pages was a challenge. And I like challenges as an artist, just to try and like break my ideas of my persona and who I think that I am and what stories I'm telling, and how can I weave this story of my birth through to my experience of losing my womb, and how that would be my only birth story in my life. And yeah, it was really hard to write. It was very easy to write the parts about my family and to write about my birth. And then it began to be really challenging when I was coming up to my present experience of healing after cancer and surgery. And just, I had defined myself in a certain way before that, and before my diagnosis, and all that was gone in a sense. And for now that I look back, for good reason. And so, yeah, it was like following what came to me. I was like, oh, I should be practicing how to tell stories, because it feels like a way out of this like dark, depressive energy that I was feeling, and that isolation, and then also being in the group and reading the other stories, just like that really brought me out of those feelings. I was able to frame things in a new way, and to see myself in a new way. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Oh, it's beautiful. It really does. And I mean, there's so much I'd love to pick up on in that. But when you talk about framing things in a new way, and how challenging it was to write what you wanted to write in a few pages, I think there's a difference, isn't there, between the ease of reporting or informing
Yeah.
which is what we all do every day. And we tell people about our lives all the time, like, oh my God, this happened to me today, and the train was late, and da, 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 da. And it's just like a constant reporting of something. And then the shift from that to meaningful expression or interpretation of more than just the reporting, that kind of voice that comes across is a really powerful thing. And I'm not sure that it can be challenging to break through from reporting into that expression. And I'm not sure that everybody allows themselves the kind of run up, the sort of energy, the sort of stick with itness that you need for that breakthrough. So it's really wonderful, I think, for other people listening to this or watching this to know that the breakthrough does come, and you get beyond the facts and beyond the history and what was said and what wasn't said into a maybe like a more meaningful thing. It feels like you're telling me it was a very meaningful experience to write it for so many reasons, that you reconnected with people, that you heard other women's stories, that you got different perspective, and that it helped you navigate. I mean, there's so much in there really to unpick. And were you surprised that it was this project that helped you do that? I'm sure there were other things as well, but it feels like it almost, like you said, like revealed itself to you, or was this invite that was just kind of magically waiting for you at the right moment? Like, was that how it happened?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was the day before. I thought, oh, well, I have to just start. And I guess writing a chapter or writing an essay would be the best way to start. It was like the next morning I got the message from Kathleen, and it was like, okay, well, I guess I'm saying yes. I can't. It's too synchronous. It's too obvious, of an opportunity. Like, and I didn't expect it to be so difficult to write those aspects about my experience. Exactly what you're saying, beyond this time I was here at this time, and then we went to this place, and then these people came, and it was like, but I did see myself doing that, of like, oh, it was this time of day, and I was wearing this. I don't know. Just those things that are like, okay, you're setting the scene, but like, what is really going on? What are you really feeling? Like, what are you thinking? Like, how I was able to tap into those feelings of just being completely seeming like I was helpless. It was like feeling that energy of, and not knowing if I was making the right decision, and just like just all these narratives that were coming in, like being a person that does work with sound and herbal medicine and all of these experiences that I've had as a healing artist, is how I would say it, I guess. And just like still feeling very vulnerable and human, like very like, oh yeah, you can draw on these experiences to like support you. But yeah, like cutting through all the ways of almost like hiding in the way that we're telling the story, like still not showing ourselves, like it's like telling just enough to where it seems like maybe we are, but then it's like what you're saying, it's like just beyond that space is where I started to feel like, oh, just reading the things that I had written and being like, oh, am I really gonna give this to someone? Like, am I really gonna share this with anyone?
So what helped you get into, like, the creativity is a really powerful way, I think, and have experienced, of getting into that vulnerable space.
Yes.
What helped you step beyond reporting, informing, into that more expression, emotive place when you were writing? Was it just a personal honesty or a will to do it, or what was it that pushed you?
Well, I do think personal honesty. I think that when I was looking for support through the process of being diagnosed and then having surgery pretty quickly after, there wasn't a lot about that sort of experience of like feeling like I have no idea what to do, but that's okay. That, and then exploring that feeling. And so I think that like knowing what it feels like when I'm being really honest in making music, there's like a feeling that I have of like, oh yes, there it is. I don't like, and trying to find that feeling in the writing, because I'm not as used to that. I'm not as used to expressing everything without like drawing in, oh well, that would be like a really low tone, like I
Yeah.
could just tone that out, or this would be like a high frequency. But then it's like a means of translating, I guess, like, well, why do I use these low tones or high frequencies, and what am I trying to like really balance in myself, and drawing that energy out, and trying to say, what is this? Like, what is this energy of helplessness? Like, how does it look like in the story? I'm like me crying in the bathtub, just like not knowing what to do or who to trust, and like how many people know about that, kind of experience. I think too, it is like, feels like a really human experience, or I mean, more than human experience. Like, all beings grieve in some way, and just being able to connect to that. I guess when I started to read it back and out loud, and I would get like, oh, like I can't, I'm gonna cry. I'm like, okay, now there it is,
Yeah.
like,
when it hits, it's that tuning fork moment, isn't it? Of like knowing
yeah,
that's the right note, that's the right emotional, empathetic, authentic note from whatever it is you're creating. I find it fascinating as well that you said that you almost have like a benchmark feeling, or like you have something familiar from other parts of your life that help you, like this feeling of, oh yeah, there it is, when you're creating music. And very often people will say to me, and particularly women will say to me, I'm not creative, I can't draw stick people, I couldn't paint. And I'm like, yeah, that's a creative output. You do have to learn technical things to play the piano or paint a picture, but you are creative. That's a different thing entirely. And I think, having like a North Star feeling or emotional intent that helps you in all aspects of being creative, whether it's in a boardroom or in your family environment, in your garden or your community, or with music or writing, I think is really fascinating, because I think that a lot of people are scared of creativity because they feel they have to completely kind of reinvent their own voice every time they try something. But it seems that you have a golden thread from your sonic exploration through to your literary exploration. So yeah, is there anything else in there that you can pull out and help people understand, like how you can take a common thread, a golden thread from one creative element, and add it in to help you navigate another, like you did with the writing? Is there anything you can explain to us about that?
Oh, I can try.
Yeah, try.
Yeah, I am exploring that as I'm doing this sound astrology project. And the sound astrology project is me like gathering music, and the idea that music is my guide in a lot of sense, because like my family is musicians and I come from a very musical lineage in a sense. And that's something I know very well. I feel like, and dance was my first form, and tambourine, I played tambourine. So just, it was the feeling of, I can't mess this up. This is who I am. Like there's nothing I can do wrong doing this. Like people can say whatever, they can judge you or whatever, but like, it's the experience of being fully present. I think that's really what it is being fully present with whatever energy is trying to express itself in you in that moment. And that is the kind of that golden thread to me. Like, am I saying what I feel I'm being called to say? because things come. Like I don't know. I could say, oh, I have to write a song today. I have no idea what I'm doing. Like I don't feel very good or whatever, any of those things. But as soon as I turn on a track, I hit record and I just like dance in my living room, things come, something comes. And it's like a conjuring, I guess, in some sort of way. You can look at it that way, in like a witchy way. But I think it's being open to yourself in the moment to, like you said, it's not the type of creativity that is beholden to some form. It's like, it doesn't, that idea, like the people are programmed to say, I can't draw a stick figure, like
Yeah.
how many people say that too? It's like, well, why is that the benchmark, of what art or creativity is? And like, we're creative in the way that we sound and speak, and we're creative in what we choose to wear or what we choose to eat or who our friends are, or, like what we like all these choices that we make that make up what we define as our persona or our sense of self. And so I guess the thread then is being open to presence. I mean, just like, and listening. Deep listening has been such a way for me to tune in and to what is me. I guess that is it too, of like, because when you're doing something like writing or anything really, and you share with someone, they'll have an opinion about it and like say, oh, you should do this, it's like, okay, so it's like the listening part is like clearing all the, you should do this way, or it should look like this, or even our inner narratives that think that it needs to sound a certain way, or just all those things that like clear out, and just feeling into that space that I'm in. And what is the story asking of me? Or like, it is a lot. I work a lot with like transitions. I feel like I work a lot at the edges of things. And it's like, how does this meet this? Like that's like, I have an ecological background too. So studying lots of like edge habitats, like that's where a lot of dynamic energy lives, in those spaces between.
That
And like,
liminal magical weird thing that you don't know what it is or what it might be yet. Yeah, I love that. And it feels very much, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what you're saying, it feels to me like a very lived, physical, real experience to you. Like you were saying, it's not like an external form or external idea of creativity. It's an internal part of actually who I am, like my DNA, what makes me up, the kind of energy that's created in me is my creativity. And that is undeniable for everyone. And that's why I love that, because whether you can play the piano or dance ballet or, play jazz saxophone, whatever it is, all of that to one side, the innate creative energy is there in all of us. And I think people hopefully can take that as like a real inspiration to find more creativity for themselves. And what do you think? It's always hard, right, to know, any effects that you might have had on others, but what do you think the wider effect of this creative process has been for you? And I guess it might be combined with, you may help made the audio book for us, but also, what has the ripple been? What's that pebble in a pond? What do you think has happened beyond yourself as part of you being part of the book project?
Well, I mean, the audiobook was really cool, because just like how you're saying, you do have a creative outlet that is like clear. Oh, this is art, like, and how people will say, oh, I can't draw the stick person. Well, for me, doing like sound or audio, the people will say, oh, I can't sing a note, or, doing the audiobook, oh, I can't listen to my voice, like, and that's like a world that I'm very interested in exploring with people. And I was really just blown away by how people showed up. Like, and did it anyway. Like they recorded their voices. They reached out in community to, if they weren't going to set up their own studio, which many of them did, which was like so beautiful to me to witness, those that went into the community and found audio engineers that helped them record themselves. And it was like the act of telling your story audibly made connections to themselves, their tone of voice, their sound of their voice, the rhythm. I mean, I was editing it as well, so I got very familiar with everyone's voices, but that, just to hear people tell their stories, that was a ripple for me. I was just like, oh, just to sit and listen and listen and listen. I listened so many times. It just like really nourished me. And yeah,
and I think the written word is incredibly powerful for making something real, like being testimony to something. It's there, it's in black and white. But when I heard, even when we launched the book, before we had the audio book, and people were invited at the launch to read their chapters or parts of them, it absolutely takes it to a whole nother level, doesn't it? It like elevates the connection between you as the reader or listener and the author. And it's really visceral and really real, and it takes it away from, I guess, that idea of like passive, you know, I'm behind a book, I'm reading this, I can put it down and do whatever I want, to active engagement with that person. And I mean, it is funny because immediately I started talking and I was like, oh my God, I sound so northern, and I sound like, you know, and this and that and the other, and I could hear myself saying like bun instead of bun, and it sounded like really funny to me just to listen to it. And I actually quite like the characterfulness of hearing different voices as well, because it very much felt like a soundscape of the book, rather than just my flat tone of my imaginary reading in my head. If I read it from beginning to end, it's my voice. So thank you so much for doing that. It was incredible to do the audio. I didn't realize how loudly I swallowed, gulped, sniffed, blew my nose, squeaked, my hair on the microphone, all of those things. So it was amazing. Oh gosh. I mean, we could talk all day. We don't want to talk all day because we really want these to be kind of like bite-sized. Have a cup of tea and a coffee or whatever, and sit down with us and listen to this chat. So maybe another time we'll carry on. But the question I've been finishing the interviews with is just one of inspiration for other people, other humans, other women. If someone was thinking of stepping into either a collaborative creative project or starting a creative project themselves, in whatever way that looks like, what would you say to them? What would be your inspiration, words of wisdom?
Well, I'd say listening is huge. Whatever it is, you know, listening to the ideas coming from a collaborative experience. I collaborate a lot in music as well. That's something that's very meaningful to me. I think because it opens us up to other perspectives and experiences and skill sets as well. I think too, if there's something you might be afraid you're like weak in that area or whatever, there's some barrier, collaborations, there's always someone in there that's good at what you're not good at. And that can be such a beautiful experience in itself, of just like reflecting that each of us has a certain thing to offer from our creativity, from our lived experience of this life, this thing we call life. And that when we come together to do something, that there was an idea that you had, and you said it would be remarkably easy if all of us came together and did this together, and a lot easier than going at it alone. And I think that is just reflective of how life is, like, that we show up in our lives and we're supported endlessly from the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep by the world around us. and in these sorts of projects or of writing or doing art, painting, making a meal, like making dinner, feeding your family, you know, like just those things, like supporting your life, doing these things that seem challenging to us are possible because we can lean on each other, and but also necessary to show us who we truly are, like to continue to challenge ourselves to, I guess, in these ways, to adjust our inner world to our outer expression, aligning what's inside of us to our external actions, and seeing what happens. Just trying it out, being curious, and not being afraid to fall on your face, and because you'll find things there that are very relatable to people, you know.
And you will fall on your face. There will be a
Yeah,
moment where you'll fall on your face, and it doesn't hurt really. So
yeah, it's okay.
wow, I love possible and necessary. Like
Yeah.
everything is possible and your creativity is necessary. That just really
Yes.
lights me up. So thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
It's been so amazing to chat. The book,
Thank
guys,
you.
go and have a look at the book as the paperback and as the Kindle version, but particularly go and have a look for Bethany's audio book, sorry. And because we've been talking so much about audio, it would be amazing for you guys to listen and hear what we have to say in the book. So thank you so much, Bethany, and we look forward to seeing you all another time with conversations with creative women. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, Kelly.